Hello everyone, my name is Billy Sheehan. I'm here in Stockholm, Sweden with the people from EBS, and they made an incredible pedal for me. It's this one right here. It's my EBS Signature Drive, and a lot went into this pedal coming into existence. For me personally, for many years, I used a custom preamp that a guy made for me back in Buffalo, New York, my hometown, and it had two separate channels. One was clean, one was distorted. And the main part of my sound came from combining the clean and the distortion sounds together, so you don't lose your real bass tone. It's a clean, but you can mix in distortion in there too, because when you distort bass, you usually lose so much low end and so much clarity of the notes that it's kind of useless. But I wanted some distortion because I was playing at a rock band, and you got to have distortion. So that amp served me very well for many years. However, the company went out of business in the late 80s, and they are no more. And the only ones I have left are old and falling apart, and they have to be resurfaced often just to keep in shape. So I wanted to see if now we had a lot more technology since the 80s, especially with audio electronics. I wanted to see if there was someone who could kind of duplicate what I did with that preamp, which is a beautiful thing, in a pedal form. So I spoke with the people from EBS, because they have great reputation already for making amazing pedals, which they do, and I've used prior to this pedal coming into existence. And they seem to understand exactly what I was talking about, which I was very pleased about. Sometimes the communication between an artist and company is a difficult one, because you're trying to explain something that in your mind makes sense, but it doesn't always come out the same way, or when it comes through someone else's ears, it doesn't happen that way. So we were really lucky. A relationship we had right away with the engineers at EBS. They knew exactly what I was talking about. So we basically made this pedal, and it does pretty much what my old Pierce preamp did. Pierce was the name of the brand name of the preamp, no longer around. But it has a couple of extra little things in it that really make it an ideal pedal for not only myself, but for players of all kinds, all tonalities, all styles, guitar players too. So the features that it has are available for anyone who buys the pedal, of course, but it's I think it's a lot more universal than just something for me personally. Even though I had it, I worked with them to create a pedal that would work for me. I've heard from many bass players around the world who play various different styles, much different the way I do, and they seem to enjoy it too. So that was a good indication for me that we had the right thing when we finished this pedal. So let me give you a couple of little explanations about some of the features, which we'll go into later. There's an input and output, of course, on-off, of course, but we have these two knobs here. One is the volume for the distortion channel, and one is the volume for your clean channel. The distortion channel is also modified by its input gain and its tonality. There's also a little switch here to add some compression in. I'll explain that in a second. And there's two loop outputs. So you can actually loop something in your distortion channel, which doesn't affect the clean, and vice versa, loop something in the clean channel, which doesn't affect the distortion. So there's a lot of possibilities, and that was kind of how the old Pierce preamp was set up. You could loop things in and out easily. It had its own built-in compression, like this does too. Now, one of the reasons why we put compression is because compression, for me personally, is a very essential element in all audio. And anytime you go into a big studio, one of the biggest investments a large studio will make is buying incredible compressors, because compression is an essential element to studio mixes, to vocals, to bass, to drums, overhead mics, all kinds of things. Compression is a very important effect. It's a very important way to treat audio. Now, if you don't know what compression is, it's this mysterious, strange thing, but in fact, it's quite simple. Basically, compression automatically turns loud sounds down and quiet sounds up. So the reason why compression and distortion are featured on the same pedals because they're basically almost the same thing. And that's an assertion I've made for quite a while, and no audio engineers have beaten me up yet, so I think I might be right. But distortion prevents the sine wave. You've seen a little oscilloscope sine wave of sound. When it gets to the top and it can't go any farther, it clips off the top and it turns square, and that's called clipping. But it is still essentially preventing that sine wave from getting any louder. Can't go any louder, so it clips. Compression does the same thing, only it does it by turning it down automatically. So it doesn't clip that top of the sine wave off and make it square. It just turns it down. But it has the same feel as distortion feels when you're playing through a loud amp. So when you hear a guitarist play through distortion, he's really compressing his sound whether he knows it or not, because that sine wave clips and distorts. So distortion and compression are very, very similar in that respect. Of course, there are many, many differences electronically and audio-wise to them. But in the fact that they limit how loud something will go, they do it two different ways. That's how they're alike. So with the EBS pedal, we put some compression in that you can affect a little bit of the clean tone, because the clean tone will have now a different dynamic range than the distortion, because the distortion is being squashed by its nature as distortion. And you're going to want a little overall compression to bring the dynamic range of the clean sound down to match the dynamic range of a distortion. So as it turns out, it's a really handy thing that there's compression built into the pedal, because it really helps smooth things out, and it makes both sounds kind of mesh together and mold together, so you don't hear a clean tone and then some distant distortion that is not related to it. They seem to weave together and work out really well that way. So all the features they put into this pedal have been successfully used by myself. I've been using it on the last couple of tours I've done, on the last few records I've done, and it's performed flawlessly, and it's got a great tonality to it, and I'm very pleased with it. So thanks to the EBS company for creating this wonderful device, and I'm sure I'll be using it for many years to come. And if you get a chance to try it out yourself, I hope you enjoy it. Okay, here's a couple of features that the pedal has that I'll run through. I'll start playing through it and showing some of the things it does. And like I said, I'm very pleased with this pedal, and I think you'll be delighted to see some of the wonderful things it does. Anyway, so I'm plugged into it right now. All these other pedals are off right now. We have a minute to demonstrate other things later. But basically, the way to start out with this pedal is to just turn this level down, the distortion level, and let's hear just normal, clean, regular bass. This big old bass guitar, clean, no compression on it, no nothing. Great, okay, straight up. Now, the reason why I wanted to show that is because a lot of people plug it in, and sometimes the distortion will be up and they're not sure what to do, and the fundamental of it is you've got to get your normal bass tone. That's the whole idea of this pedal, is your normal bass tone that you need to drive the band, to lock in with the drummer, to get a big low end sound of the whole band. It's the thing that underpins the tonality of the band, the bass. You got to get your regular bass tone. So there it is. Now what if I just start to what I'll do is it's like a distortion pedal. You got to drive how hard you're going to hit the pedal and how much distortion is going to do. A tone control, which kind of a little center frequency for it to boost it in certain areas from low to high. We'll show you how that works too. And then the overall level of how much of that distortion do you want. So let's just start out with the drive, like about halfway. The tone, same thing in the middle. We'll slowly bring in the distortion so you see what it sounds like. Regular bass tone. And you'll notice also as I bring it in, the bass tone doesn't go away, and that's a very essential point. You hear it coming in. Well, there's a whole other character to the bass. That distortion in the background brings in a lot of harmonic content. You may not want that much distortion, so you can bring the drive down. Just have as a tonality and harmonic content to the bass that really make it sit up in the mix better. If you're in a three-piece band, only got guitar, bass, and drums, that adds so much more to the bass, so you can really fill in a lot of things. But that's just the basis of what we have here. Now you start to fool around with the drive and the tone control, and you get some really great combinations. I'm going to crank the drive up a bit, about 3/4 the way. This high harmonics now will come through really loud. Move the tone around, like let's turn the tone way down. You hear it sweep through to high. Take it way low. So Jack Bruce and Cream had a great distorted bass tone because it was low distortion. So you can kind of mimic some of that when you neck it into all the high as much as you a deep growl low thing underneath there. So within the band, if you really want to hang on to those frequencies there and get out of the way of the guitar player so his guitar sound can come through, low thing gives you all the feel and harmonic content of that deep low distortion without getting in anyone else's way. The way I generally use it, I get up to about right about there. It's kind of a more mid-range tone. So that's kind of the tonality I use. Now, you can take it way up top too. Turn that tone way high. I'll turn the level up so you really hear how high. So the distortion, I'm going to turn the clean all the way down as you adjust the distortion. It's real high and thin distortion when you get this turned up. So let me take it back to normal human levels and then bring the clean. So now you got this. Chord thing. Just picking up the top end of the frequency spectrum and adding that to your regular normal bass tone that you have. So that's just some of the things you can do with the tone. Now you can fool around and do the drive up, down, the tone up, down, find a spot for the tone that you love, that suits your music and your style best. How much of it you want is right there too. Now, let's get to the compression. Now you notice when as we're doing this, it sounds great. There's a little bit of separation in my ears anyway of the distortion and clean tone. So if I put a little compression in there, that's a little switch here. They start to go together. You use the high level of compression. Something like that. A couple wrong notes in there. That's legal. So you see how they start to blend together a little bit better. So now you've got, just within the pedal itself, all these possibilities. The compression, which is going to give you different feels, how your hands feel in the neck and how that distortion marries up with and connects to your clean, how the overall tonality of it is. So now that's a pedal that does a lot right there. Now that we actually have the loop, these little extra outputs here, like I told you about, we can put anything in the loops. So if right now we have this fine EBS chorus here, and I got it plugged into the loop for the distortion. So wouldn't it be cool if we could, if I pop that on, you'll hear, now just the distortion is chorusing. So the advantage of that is when you affect the low tones, you lose a lot of low end. So the real bass tone is all still in there as solidly as it was when you first set it up. But now we've got that high end, that distortion thing getting chorus for a cool little effect without affecting your low end. Just at any time you take a chorus or almost any pedal and plug your bass into it, plug it into an amp, right away you're going to start to notice a lot of changes. Distortion, you're going to lose a lot of low frequencies. Chorusing and things like that, it will affect the low sound you need. You need the low really unaffected in a lot of ways in order to really make it work. So just to go crazy here a little bit, we plug the really great Octabass pedal by EBS, which is one of my favorite pedals that has been for many, many years, into the clean loop. So we can take that clean loop and make it super ultra low. Pop that in. still have that distortion in there. Crazy, I know. Distortion in there that's adding that high-end harmonic content to it and making it really come to life. So that's an extreme example of a tonality that may not ever really be your thing or not, but it's nice to know you can do kind of things like that. So within the clean loop, you can put anything. You could put the octave bass, you could put an EQ in there, you could put a chain of effects in there. You could put EQ with maybe a different kind of compression, maybe an optical compression, anything you can imagine, anything your little heart desires. And on the distortion end, you can put more EQ, some chorusing, some flanging, echo, whatever you want. It won't affect your clean tone. So that's the real advantage of this pedal, are those little loop inputs and outputs. In EBS now, to make it much more easy to implement that, I think they're shipping the new pedals with the cords in there to plug them in. So you got these extra little cords, because you need a cord that has what's called a TRS, tip ring sleeve, little plug. It looks like a stereo. Basically, it's a stereo 1/4 inch jack. And then that comes out to 2 mono plugs, which go into your effect. Real easy. You'll see when you get the pedal, there'll be a little diagram to show you exactly how to hook it up. It's real easy. And that's the story. This is a wonderful thing for me, because I fly into gigs a lot now. And so we're flying into trans-Pacific, trans-oceanic flights, and to carry so much gear and racks of gear and all kinds of stuff starts to become very expensive. So I tour a lot with a lot of bands, and add that extra expense on everything just hurts everyone. So this enables me, basically, my carry-on bag that I get on the plane every time, there's my EBS pedal and a compressor. So no matter what, in case everything gets lost, I can still do a gig because I got this and my compressor, and that's basically what I can. That's the minimal amount for me to be able to do a full-on rock show with the distortion and all the crazy stuff that I normally do. So I'm really pleased with this pedal. It's served me very well, and I hope if you give it a try, it serves you well also. All right. And I want to do another one, just in case. 1, 2, 3, 4.